I never thought the man who clawed his way from Brooklyn tenements to the penthouse of Apex Innovations would be stabbed in the back by his own blood. Right there, under the glow of the Rockefeller Christmas tree, during what was supposed to be our family's perfect holiday photo op at St. Patrick's Cathedral. I'm Richard Harrington, 59 years old, chairman of New York's most ruthless tech empire. And 3 days ago, I discovered my wife and son are planning to destroy me. 3 days before our annual family reunion at the old Harrington estate in the Hamptons, 3 days before I was supposed to announce my retirement and pass the torch to the next generation. 3 days before I handed over everything I built with these scarred hands and sleepless nights. But let me take you back to where it all shattered. It's a Tuesday evening in our Upper East Side brownstone, the kind of night where Manhattan hums with that restless energy, taxi horns bleeding through triple-pane windows, the city that never stops grinding. I'm in my study, nursing a bourbon, reviewing the retirement speech I've been writing for weeks. That's when I hear voices drifting up from the sitting room below. Elena's voice. My wife of 35 years, soft, controlled, the way she speaks when she's moving chess pieces I can't see. And Michael, our son, 34 years old, VP of Operations, the golden boy I groomed to inherit my kingdom. I move to the landing. The old floorboards don't creak anymore, not after the renovation. I can hear every word floating up through the heating vents. The documents are ready, Michael says. His voice has that edge I've heard in boardrooms when someone's closing a deal they shouldn't. Dr. Morrison will backdate the cognitive assessments. Early onset dementia, memory lapses, erratic decision-making. My hand tightens on the banister. Elena's laugh is quiet, almost musical. Richard's been so distracted lately, so scattered. No one will question it. The board already whispers about his age, his temper. We're just protecting the company. And the transfers? Michael asks. Hidden in the Q4 restructuring, 12 million routed through the Luxembourg subsidiary, then into your hedge fund. By the time anyone notices, you'll control the voting shares. He'll be declared incompetent, removed from the board, and we'll have everything. The bourbon glass slips from my hand, doesn't shatter, just thuds against the Persian rug my mother saved 3 years to buy back in 1987. Everything. They want everything. I built Apex from a basement in Brooklyn, coding until my eyes bled, skipping every Little Italy feast, every Yankees game, every moment that normal fathers share with their families. I chose empire over everything, over everyone. And now the empire wants to eat me alive. I don't confront them that night. Can't. My mind is racing like the 4 train at rush hour. Too fast, too loud, everything blurring. I need proof. I need leverage. I need to think. The next morning I sit across from Elena at Katz's Delicatessen. Our spot, where I proposed 35 years ago over pastrami on rye and cream soda. The place still smells like brine and history. You've been distant, I say, keeping my voice steady. Is everything okay? She reaches across the table, takes my hand. Her touch is warm, practiced. Richard, you're working yourself to death. I'm worried about you. We all are. Michael seems worried too. Something flickers in her eyes. He loves you. We both do. But you have to admit, you've been forgetting things. Missing meetings. You snapped at the board last week over nothing. I didn't forget anything. I didn't snap. But she's building a narrative, brick by careful brick. Maybe you're right, I say, watching her face. Maybe I need to step back. Relief floods her features. She squeezes my hand. That's all we want, for you to rest, to finally enjoy what you've built. She's good. 20 years in Manhattan society taught her to lie with a smile. That afternoon I checked Michael's text messages. I know his passwords. Always have. Father's insurance policy, I called it. The texts aren't what I expected. They're coded. Numbers, percentages, transaction dates. But I've spent 40 years reading balance sheets and boardroom conspiracies. The pattern is clear. He's been siphoning funds for 18 months. Small amounts at first, then growing bolder. And every transaction is logged with precision that would make a forensic accountant weep. My son, my heir, my betrayer. I sit in my corner office on the 47th floor of our Midtown Tower. The city sprawls below me, 8 million people grinding through their lives, and I've never felt more alone. King of Wall Street. Emperor of nothing. I built this empire instead of building a family. I gave them money instead of time, board meetings instead of birthday parties, and now they're taking what I gave them and using it as a weapon. The isolation hits like a freight train. I'm surrounded by people, by power, by the pulse of New York City. But in this moment, in this gilded cage I built myself, I'm completely, utterly alone. And somewhere in this city, someone knows the truth. Someone who might be the only person left I can trust. The next morning, Black Friday, Manhattan is a war zone of shopping bags and desperation. Fifth Avenue swarms with tourists hunting bargains while I hunt for truth. I slip through the crowds, collar up against the November cold, and head downtown to Soho. To the one person who might still give a damn about me. Charlotte. My adopted daughter. 28 years old. A street artist whose work now hangs in Chelsea galleries I've never visited. We've been estranged for 6 years, ever since I missed her Parsons graduation because of a Silicon Alley merger that couldn't wait. Except every merger could wait. Every deal could wait. I just never chose her. Her loft is a 5th-floor walk-up above a vintage clothing shop. The stairwell smells like old paint and coffee from the bodega next door. I haven't been here since I helped her move in, wrote the check, and left before unpacking a single box. I knock. Wait. Wonder if she'll even open the door. She does. Charlotte stands there in paint-splattered jeans and an oversized flannel, her green eyes sharp as broken glass. Those eyes. The same shade as the Hudson at dusk, the color I used to watch from my office window when the guilt got too heavy. Dad, she says. Not surprised, not warm, just stating a fact. I need your help. She steps aside. Lets me in. The loft is chaos and beauty, canvases everywhere, splashes of color that somehow make sense when you stop trying to understand them. I've known, she says before I can explain, about Elena, about Michael, about all of it. My heart stops. She moves to her desk, pulls out a laptop, fingers flying across keys. I've been watching them for 3 years, ever since Elena told me at your 60th birthday party that I was the charity case. The little project you adopted to polish your image after the IPO. The memory hits like a punch. That party at the plaza, I was networking with investors while Elena worked the room. I never heard what she said to Charlotte. Never noticed when my daughter left early, never came back. She called me that in front of everyone, Charlotte continues, her voice steady but her hands shaking, at Dalton School events when I was a kid, at company dinners, every chance she got. Made sure I knew I didn't belong. Charlotte, I didn't know. You didn't look. She turns the laptop toward me, but I did. The screen fills with files, encrypted documents, emails, bank transfers. Elena's been manipulating board votes for 5 years, Charlotte explains. Using Michael as her puppet, they've been skimming R&D funds, routing them through shell companies. She bought a luxury box at Madison Square Garden for Knicks games, season tickets she doesn't even use, just laundering money through corporate entertainment budgets. I lean in, scanning the evidence. Transaction logs, forged authorization signatures, board meeting minutes with edited timestamps. How did you get this? I'm an artist, Dad, but I'm also your daughter. I learned from watching you. How to see patterns, how to find weaknesses, how to fight. Something cracks open in my chest. Pride, regret, both at once. There's more, she says. Michael's meeting someone tonight. 9 p.m., a speakeasy called The Back Room, underneath Grand Central. I've been tracking his movements. We need to record it. She smiles, sharp, dangerous, way ahead of you. That night we're pressed against exposed brick in a corridor behind the back room. The speakeasy is all velvet and dim lighting, the kind of place where Manhattan's elite pretend they're living in the Prohibition era. Michael sits at a corner table with 2 men I recognize, board members, both in Elena's pocket. Charlotte's phone is recording, Audio crisp through the surveillance app she installed weeks ago. Michael's voice carries that entitled swagger I taught him. Confidence without substance. The old man's toast. Dr. Morrison has the documentation ready. Dementia, early onset cognitive decline. We'll have him declared incompetent by New Year's. One board member laughs. Your mother's been planning this for years. She's a genius, Michael says, swirling his bourbon. And I'm Gordon Gekko with better hair. I almost laugh. This kid thinks he's a wolf. He's just a trust fund toddler playing dress-up in Armani. But the laughter dies when Michael leans in, voice dropping. Best part? We've got Charlotte completely sidelined. That forged DNA test Mom planted 6 years ago did its job. Dad thinks he's not even her biological father. He stopped trying. She disappeared. The world tilts. Charlotte's hand finds my arm, steadying me. What DNA test? I whisper. She closes her eyes. When she opens them, they're wet. The one Elena showed you right before my Parsons graduation. The one that said you weren't my biological father. You never told me about it. You just stopped calling. Stopped visiting. The memory floods back. Elena, tearful, showing me lab results. Telling me Charlotte's biological father had been someone else. Someone from before the adoption was finalized. I'd felt betrayed. Stupid. Like I'd been lied to for years. So I pulled away. Convinced myself it didn't matter. That Charlotte would be fine without me. It was forged, Charlotte says. I found the original lab. They never processed any DNA test. Elena paid someone to fabricate it. Rage builds inside me like a pressure cooker. Not the explosion kind. The cold, calculating kind that's kept me alive in 40 years of corporate warfare. But underneath the rage, there's something else. Doubt. I was toxic, I say, voice barely above a whisper. I was never there, for you, for anyone. Maybe they're right, maybe I don't deserve this empire. Charlotte turns to me, eyes blazing. You were absent, but you weren't malicious. There's a difference. And right now, we're going to make them pay for every lie they told. She's right. I'm done being the absent king. Time to become the avenging one. The nor'easter hits 2 days before the reunion. We're driving to the Hamptons in my Lincoln Navigator, Charlotte beside me, the wipers barely keeping pace with the snow. The highway is a white nightmare, vehicles crawling at 20 miles per hour, and my SUV fishtails like my entire world. Everything is falling apart. The Harrington estate looms ahead through the blizzard, all stone and ivy and old money pretension. The place my father bought when Apex went public, when we stopped being Hell's Kitchen Irish and became Upper East Side elite. Elena's already there. Of course she is. She's hosting what she calls a family mass at the local chapel. Some pious show for the investors and board members arriving early. Michael's there too, working the room like he's campaigning for sainthood. I watch from the back pew as my wife lights candles and bows her head in prayer. She's wearing Chanel, modest, demure, the perfect matriarch. I want to scream. Instead, I slip out and head back to the estate, to the study where I used to hide from family dinners, drowning in spreadsheets and quarterly reports. That's where I find the letters. Hidden in Elena's desk drawer, underneath investor portfolios and seating charts for tomorrow's reunion dinner, letters dated back 35 years. Love letters. From Harlan Voss, my rival, the man who tried to buy Apex out from under me in the 90s, the man I crushed in a hostile takeover that made the Wall Street Journal's front page, the man who fathered my son. The dates line up perfectly. Elena's affair started right when I was grinding through my rise. Brooklyn Tech high school valedictorian to Forbes cover story. I was building an empire while she was building a family with someone else. Michael isn't mine. 34 years of raising another man's child. 34 years of pride in a legacy that was never real. The betrayal cuts deeper than any boardroom backstabbing I've survived. I call Charlotte. She's back in the city, digging through more evidence. There's something else, she says, her voice tight, about the art shows. What about them? Elena didn't just verbally abuse me. She actively sabotaged my career, called gallery owners in Chelsea, told them I was unstable. Drug problems, mental health issues, none of it true. I lost 3 major shows because of her. 3 years of work, gone. My daughter's voice cracks. This woman I raised, this fierce artist who survived despite everything I didn't give her, was tortured by the woman I brought into her life. Why? I ask, even though I know. Because I saw too much. I heard things. I knew about the embezzlement early on. She needed to discredit me before I could talk. I drive back to the city that night. Can't stay in the Hamptons. Can't breathe in that house. By 3 a.m., I'm in the Apex boardroom. Alone. 47th floor, floor-to-ceiling windows, the Empire State Building lit up like a beacon in the darkness. I think about all the nights I spent here instead of home. All the anniversaries I missed at Tavern on the Green. All the school plays and art shows and moments I traded for another deal. Another merger, another Michaelie. I automated half of Manhattan's fintech infrastructure, revolutionized how millions of people move money. But I can't debug my own family. The irony would be funny if it wasn't destroying me. I put my head in my hands and let it out. The rage, the grief, the crushing weight of 35 years of lies. I cry like I haven't cried since my father died. Alone in a building I built, surrounded by everything I chose over the people who mattered. The phone rings at 4 a.m. Charlotte, panicked. Dad, we have a problem. The mole we planted in Apex, Marcus from accounting. He flipped. Michael got to him. They know we're investigating. My blood runs cold. What did you tell Marcus? Everything. The recordings. The files. Our timeline. Where are you? Home. Why? Lock your doors. I'm coming to get you. I'm in the Navigator, racing down the FDR Drive as dawn breaks over the East River. The city's waking up, delivery trucks and early commuters, the rhythm of New York coming alive. That's when I see them. 2 black SUVs, following too close, moving with intention. I accelerate. They accelerate. This isn't coincidence. The first SUV pulls alongside me, tries to force me toward the guardrail, toward the river below. They're not trying to scare me. They're trying to kill me. I jerk the wheel, cutting across 2 lanes. Horns blare. A taxi nearly clips my bumper. The SUVs stay on me, boxing me in. 59 years old and I'm in a car chase like some action movie. Except this is real. This is my son trying to murder me on a Friday morning in Manhattan. The second SUV rams my rear bumper. My head snaps back. The Navigator skids, tires screaming. I see the exit for 34th Street. Take it hard. The SUVs follow, but traffic's heavier here, harder to maneuver. I lose them in the grid of Midtown, my hands shaking on the wheel, adrenaline flooding every nerve. I pull over near Bryant Park. Sit there, breathing, alive. My phone's ringing. Michael. Dad? You okay? Heard there was an accident on the FDR. His voice is concern. Perfect. Practiced. I'm fine, I say. See you tomorrow at the reunion. I hang up. The victim Richard is dead. That man who let his family poison him, who accepted loneliness as the price of success, who broke down in empty boardrooms. He died on the FDR Drive. The man who survived is someone else. Someone who remembers how to fight. Someone who's done playing defense. Tomorrow's reunion isn't going to be a celebration. It's going to be a reckoning. The reunion begins at sunset. The Hamptons estate is transformed into something out of a fever dream. String lights crisscross the lawn, tables grown under Italian spreads that look like the Feast of San Gennaro exploded in the Hamptons. Sausage and peppers, Zeppel towers, a full pig roasting on a spit. Elena's tribute to my Hell's Kitchen roots. The irony is suffocating. Wall Street titans mingle with Broadway producers, board members, investors, family friends who've watched this empire rise. Everyone's dressed to the nines, champagne flowing, laughter echoing across the manicured lawn. They have no idea what's coming. I stand on the terrace, watching Elena work the crowd. She's radiant in emerald silk, the perfect hostess. Michael's beside her, playing the dutiful son, shaking hands like he's already inherited the throne. Charlotte's with me, laptop ready, evidence loaded. "You sure about this?" she asks. I look at my daughter. Really look at her, 28 years old and stronger than I ever was. I've never been more sure of anything. The toasts begin at 8. Golden hour fading into twilight. Elena taps her champagne flute, the crystal ring carrying across the lawn. "Thank you all for coming," she begins. Her voice is honey, practiced. "Tonight we celebrate not just Richard's incredible career, but the family he built alongside his empire. A family united in love, in loyalty, in legacy." The crowd applauds. Michael raises his glass. That's when I step forward. "Before we toast," I say, my voice cutting through the applause, "there's something everyone needs to see." Elena's smile freezes. Michael's eyes dart to the exits. I nod to Charlotte. She taps a key. The massive projection screen behind the dessert table flickers to life. Bank statements fill the screen, transaction logs, emails with timestamps, security footage from Grand Central's speakeasy. The crowd goes silent. You could hear a pin drop on the grass. "For the past 18 months, I announce, walking through the stunned guests, my wife and the man I thought was my son have been systematically embezzling from Apex Innovations. $12 million routed through shell companies, forged medical documents claiming I'm incompetent, a plot to steal everything I built." Gasps ripple through the crowd like a shockwave. Elena's face drains of color. "Richard, you're confused. This is your dementia talking." "Show them the affair," I tell Charlotte. The screen changes. Love letters, DNA results. A birth certificate with Harlan Voss listed as father. "Michael isn't my son," I continue. "He's the product of a 35-year affair with my business rival. An affair that started when I was climbing from Brooklyn to the boardroom. When I was too busy building an empire to notice my wife was building a family with someone else." The crowd erupts, whispers, shock. Someone drops a champagne flute. Michael steps forward, his face twisted with rage. "This is slander. Fabricated evidence. My father's having a breakdown." "Actually," a voice calls from the back of the crowd, "it's all true." Everyone turns. A man walks through the crowd, tall, late 60s. Gray hair, sharp suit, features that mirror my own in ways I never noticed before. Harlan Voss. My blood boils. I move toward him, fists clenched. "Easy, Richard," he says, raising his hands. "I'm not here as your enemy. You slept with my wife, fathered my son." "I did." He looks me dead in the eye. "And I'm your brother." The world stops. "What?" Harlan turns to the crowd. "Our father, Thomas Harrington, had an affair during World War II. Ellis Island processing clerk. Lonely nights. Wartime chaos. My mother was a nurse from Queens. She raised me alone. Thomas never acknowledged me. But I knew. I always knew. I can't breathe. Can't process. When Elena approached me 35 years ago," Harlan continues, "she wanted to hurt you. Use me. I was angry enough at our father to say yes. But Michael was born, and I realized this wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about stopping a cycle of destruction." "So you went undercover," Charlotte says, piecing it together. 3 years ago, I approached the SEC, became a whistleblower, gathered evidence from the inside while Elena and Michael thought I was their ally. I've been feeding information to Charlotte since she contacted me last year. My head spins. My rival. My brother. My ally. Michael's voice cracks with desperation. "This is insane. Dad, you're the one who embezzled. The offshore accounts are in your name." The crowd murmurs, doubt creeping in. Charlotte laughs, actually laughs, nice try. Her fingers fly across the keyboard. The screen shifts again, live hacking, real-time data streaming. "Those accounts," she announces, "are registered to Richard Harrington, but the IP addresses, the access logs, the routing numbers, all trace back to Michael's devices. Brooklyn bodega fronts used as money laundering operations. Shell LLCs registered to his college roommate. The evidence is undeniable. Damning. Beautiful. Michael lunges toward Charlotte. I step between them. Touch her, I growl, and they'll find pieces of you in the Atlantic. Elena screams. Not a gasp. A full hysteria. This family is a lie. All of it. I gave 35 years to a man who loved his company more than his wife, who missed every birthday, every anniversary, every moment that mattered. So yes, I found comfort elsewhere. Yes, I took what I deserved. Her mask is gone. The venom pours out. And that girl, Elena points at Charlotte, shaking. She was always watching, always seeing too much. I had to break her, ruin her, make sure no one would believe her. Because this empire was supposed to be mine and Michael's, not some adopted charity case who never belonged. Silence, heavy, absolute. Then sirens, red and blue lights flashing up the driveway. Charlotte smiles. I called them an hour ago. Anonymous tip about fraud and attempted murder on the FDR drive. Police move through the crowd. Handcuffs click around Michael's wrists. Elena's screaming, fighting, coming completely apart. I stand there amid the wreckage of my family, my empire, my lies. Charlotte walks over, takes my hand. I forgive you, she whispers. I break, right there, in front of Wall Street and Broadway and everyone who thought Richard Harrington was untouchable. I don't deserve it. No, she says, but you're trying, and that's enough. I pull her close. My daughter. My only real family. And somehow, through all the ashes, we're still standing. 3 months later, dawn breaks over Central Park like a promise kept. I'm standing at the window of a West Village townhouse, not a penthouse, not a monument to ego, just a 3-story brownstone with ivy climbing the brick and neighbors who wave instead of networking. The storm is over. Elena fled to Europe the day after her arrest. Switzerland first, then Monaco, living off whatever accounts I couldn't freeze. The divorce papers were signed in a lawyer's office in Midtown. No ceremony, no drama, just signatures and the end of 35 years of lies. She's someone else's problem now. Michael's in federal prison. Minimum security, but prison nonetheless. 18 months for fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy. His lawyers tried to plea it down. The evidence was too damning. Charlotte's digital forensics. Harlan's testimony. The recordings from Grand Central. He sends letters. I burn them unread. The Hamptons estate sold in 6 weeks. Some hedge fund manager bought it for his 4th wife. I don't care. That place was never home. Just another monument to everything I chose wrong. But here's the twist I never saw coming. Harlan Foss isn't Harlan Foss. He's Liam Harrington, my half-brother, and he's not a rival tech executive. He's a high school teacher in Brooklyn, has been for 30 years, teaches computer science to kids who look like we did, hungry and scrappy and desperate to escape. The Harlan Voss persona was a cover, built by the SEC when he agreed to go undercover. They needed someone Elena would trust, someone with a manufactured rivalry to me. So they created a fake business empire, fake credentials, a whole fictional life. Liam played the role for 3 years, gathered evidence, befriended Elena and Michael, all while teaching AP computer science at Brooklyn Tech, the same school where I was valedictorian 40 years ago. Why? I asked him over coffee at a diner in Park Slope, the kind of place where the waitress knows your order before you sit down. Because our father abandoned both of us, Liam said. You got the name and the money. I got the shadows. But we both got the scars. I figured if I couldn't have a brother growing up, maybe I could save one now. I broke down right there, in a diner booth, over eggs and home fries. My brother, my ally, my family. Now the 3 of us, Charlotte, Liam, and me, we're rebuilding everything. Apex is thriving under new leadership. I'm still chairman, but I brought in a CEO who actually wants the job. We pivoted to ethical AI development, inspired by the hackathons I'm now attending at NYU. Young minds with big ideas and bigger hearts. I spend my Tuesdays mentoring entrepreneurs at Columbia, kids with startups and dreams, who remind me why I fell in love with tech in the first place. Not the money, not the power, the possibility. Sundays are for family. Charlotte, Liam, and I hit the delis. The real ones, not the gentrified brunch spots. Katz's, Russ and Daughters. Places where the pastrami is thick and the history is thicker. We do art walks in Williamsburg. Charlotte's career is exploding now that Elena's poison isn't in the water. 3 gallery shows in 4 months. I attend every single one. Front row. No phone calls. No exits for emergency meetings. Just a father, present, proud, finally paying attention. I volunteer at St. Patrick's now. Not for show, not for photo ops, just serving meals, sorting donations, showing up. The priest asked if I wanted recognition. I said no. Some things you do because they're right, not because someone's watching. The townhouse is small compared to the brownstone, compared to the Hamptons estate, but it's full in ways those places never were. Charlotte has the top floor as her studio. Liam comes over for Sunday dinners. We cook together, argue about politics, watch Knicks games and complain about the same things we complained about as kids. We're building something real. Last week, a young entrepreneur asked me how I survived the betrayal, how I came back from losing everything. I told him the truth. New York taught me grit. Brooklyn streets, subway commutes, 20-hour coding sessions fueled by pizza and stubbornness. That grit built an empire. But betrayal taught me something more important. It taught me truth. I spent 40 years choosing wrong, choosing deals over dinners, boardrooms over birthdays, empire over family. I thought success meant sacrifice. Turned out I was just running from the hard work of being present. The people who betrayed me weren't wrong about everything. I was absent. I was cold. I traded love for achievement and wondered why I ended up alone in a tower of my own making. But here's what they didn't count on. That same grit that built the empire, it rebuilds lives too. The kid nodded, taking notes. If you're trapped in toxicity, I continued, whether it's family, business, or the stories you tell yourself, you have one choice. Break free, walk away from the poison, and rebuild with the people who choose you. Not for your money, not for your status, but because they see you, the real you, flaws and all. That's where the power is. Not in the penthouse, in the people. I stand at my window now, watching the sun climb over the city. 59 years old, divorced, disowned a son, lost an empire, and rebuilt it better. But I gained a daughter, found a brother, reclaimed my soul. Richard Harrington, the man who clawed out of Brooklyn and conquered Manhattan, learned the hardest lesson last. Success isn't what you build. It's who you build it with. And for the first time in 40 years, I'm building with people who matter. The city spreads out before me. 8 million people grinding through their stories. Some of them are trapped like I was. Some of them are breaking free. If you're listening to this, wherever you are, know this. You're stronger than the toxicity, braver than the betrayal, and worthy of the truth. Take it from someone who learned too late, then fought like hell to make it right. It's never too late to choose better. To choose family. To choose yourself.
Revenge never ends. It only waits.